board meeting our April board meeting to order. Let's stand as we sing. Sing. I don't know why I want to sing this. Let's just sing it. New challenge tonight. Let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Gray, if you lead us in our prayer.
Like bow your heads. Lord, we come to you right now. Just thank you for this time to come together and focus on what we need to be focusing on. That's our kids of this school system. Lord, we just thank you for the folks we have on this board that come here and put forth their good foot every time to make sure that we see the betterment and the best safety and security for our kids. Thank you for our teachers that come to work every day and got their boots on the ground and love the jobs they do. Thank you for Dr. Combs, Mr. Fields, Billy, and Dr. Bird for everything they do on the behind the scenes and the thankless job that they do and the recognition sometimes they do not get. Again, God, just if we make any decisions tonight, just guide us in the way you want us to go, and we just ask this all in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Board, if you'll take a look at the agenda, look it over. After taking a look at it, we got a motion to approve the agenda. I got a motion by Mr. Jenkins, got a second by Mr. Edwards. Any discussion on that? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. We have any additions to the agenda? No additions to the agenda? All right, no additions to it. Dr. Bird.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think we have any substitutes of the month. I do not see Ms. Britton Thomas with staff easy. I scanned the room, so I'm going to move on with Teacher of the Month. This month, Miss Allison Reese from Atoka Elementary School, who is a second grade teacher, is our Teacher of the Month. So I'm going to read, and I don't know if Ms. Reese is here. Okay, I'm still going to read it. I don't think she's here, and we'll award this to her at school, but I'm going to read the information as well. Ms. Reese's commitment to building relationships with students is always evident. She invests time in getting to know them, even having lunch with them. She fosters trust and a sense of belonging in her classroom. When help is needed, Mrs. Reese is always willing to lend a hand. Mrs. Reese shows an enthusiasm for using best practices to enhance student learning and also sets a great example for her peers. She always has a willingness to work as a team and learn from and with her peers. She has been such a positive addition to Atoka Elementary School. So we want to congratulate Ms. Reese publicly, and I will take this award to her at school, hopefully sometime tomorrow. So congratulations to Ms. Reese. And we have Students of the Month next. So first of all, from Charger Academy, we have Lizzie Lyman, and I hope that I'm pronouncing Lizzie's name correctly. Lizzie, and her assistant principal is here tonight. Ms. Ross, come on up. She was hold this so I can read all of my things about you. All right, this is Lizzie. She's a fourth grader at Charger Academy. Lizzie is a well-rounded student who is intelligent, personable, and talented. She is very helpful, tolerant, and seeks ways to help within her school and community. She is well-spoken, confident, kind, and has a style her own. Lizzie is a true leader who has an awesome attitude and a heart of gold. She is determined, organized, and always wanting to learn more. To know Lizzie is to love her. She's a member of the drama club, choir, and was chosen to be a member of the district student council committee. Lizzie's talent was displayed in many of the school's talent shows, as well as a cast member in the plays Shrek Jr., Beauty and the Beast, The Little Mermaid, and The Descendants at Charger Academy. Her positive attitude and outlook make her a great candidate for Student of the Month. So we want to say congratulations to you, Lizzie. Our middle school student of the month, who I hope has come in, is Fee Devon. She is from Brighton Middle School. I know that she has soccer game or something.
Softball.
So come on down, her principal is here, so. All right. Fee has excellent grades and continually pushes to improve these. Is a member of the National Junior Honor Society, plays basketball at Brighton Middle School, plays softball at Brighton Middle School, and is an active member of her community. Fee embodies what it means to be a student athlete. Not only does Fee excel on the court and on the field, she is a star student in the classroom. She makes excellent grades and models a positive attitude for her peers. She possesses a drive and work ethic that cannot be taught. Fee is able to juggle the demands of her extracurriculars while maintaining exemplary academic performance. In addition to all of this, she finds time to help her community by volunteering her time in endeavors such as our school's Thanksgiving food drive. Fee's pleasant nature, kindness, athletic prowess, academic ambition, and leadership qualities typify everything in which Tipton County Schools prides itself. Congratulations, Fee.
Thank you, Dr. Bird. I'm gonna ask the scope delegates to come up here. Our seats. Do I have any other scope delegates? Am I? No, okay, all right, I'll give you a chance. Okay, all right, y'all just come up here and stand. If you don't mind. Y'all don't have to be scared, it's okay. Y'all can, yeah, we can, that'd be good. Board, I'm gonna just give you a quick little update, just, we, on the 2025 scope conference, do we have a picture on that? Dr.
Yes,
Bird?
we do.
Did we? All right, we'll put that up there, but, I'm pleased, there we go, I'm pleased to honor, of presenting to you a report on our district participation in the 2025 scope conference this past year. The scope, Students Congress on Policies, in Education, and it's an annual conference hosted by the TSBA, and it brings high school students from across the state and to discuss current educational topics and to gain firsthand experience in school board knowledge and operations. Overall, there were over 350 high school students represented at this school or at this event, and it was held in Belmont at the Belmont University. So I had the privilege of accompanying these 6 exceptional students and 2 dedicated chaperones to Nashville for this enriching experience. I had Miss Tia Maben from Brighton High School, Miss Tamaya Maben from Brighton High, Trey Narcisse from Covenant High, Bailey Walton from Covenant High, Jasmine Morton from Mumford High School, and Jacob Weatherford from Mumford High School. Did I get everybody? I'm sure. Okay, good. And then I had Miss Deborah Arwelo from Brighton High School and Mr. Kent Case from Brighton High School as the chaperones. So we met up there at Belmont, and they were a part of this. Let me give you just a quick little overview. It was held on Tuesday, March 11th at Belmont University in Nashville. And the day was structured as to provide students with a comprehensive understanding of school board operations as well as policy-making procedures or processes. Throughout the day, our students participated in group discussions where they explored various educational issues. Each group was segmented into around 22 to 25 students, and I had the privilege of being a scope group leader as well, which I had about 22 senior students from across the state. We also had mock school board meetings that simulated actual school board deliberations. We had preparation sessions for the debate component, and we had final debate sessions where student leaders presented their positions. There was a main topic thing, so when we got into our groups, we had a main topic that they were to talk about, and it was on zero tolerance of vaping. So that was kind of what their main topic was to do. So they acted as a board, and so from among each of the students that were in each group, they chose a board, whether it was made up of 5 members, 9 members, 7 members. So they chose their board members, right? And they had a kind of a runoff or election on those board members, and those board members were seated. And the first thing that those board members had to do was pick a superintendent from amongst their peers. Okay? Yeah, exactly. So what they did was so the people chose a couple of candidates, right? And my group had 2, and they interviewed those 2 candidates, and they had a list of questions, and they interviewed those 2 candidates. And then from that, they had the great privilege of choosing only one, and so they got to learn failure real quickly or disappointment really quickly. So they chose the superintendent. And then once they chose the superintendent, the primary focus of a mock school board was a proposed policy that would make vaping a zero tolerance offense within schools. Our students engaged thoughtfully with this timely and relevant issue, considering various perspectives and implications. And I will say is they had wonderful topics and discussions. And I had to tell them one time, I had to tell my students one time, I was like, all right, hang on, time out. You're not looking at this from a student perspective, okay? You have to look at it from a parent perspective or a representative perspective. Because they were kind of, I was like, hold on, I could see the way it was going. You know, they were kind of taking it for their own selves. However, they heard from mock constituents who were chosen that would come up and actually speak whether they wanted the vape policy or not. So they were able to come in front of the board and actually speak on that. And the mock school board was then tasked with making a decision as if they wanted to implement the new policy or not. And ours actually chose not to do either, but to take it under advisement. So I thought that was wise of them as well. You know, let's push the issue to the next one, right? Our students then chose from amongst their peers a speaker who would debate a prepared topic. And the debate topic for our group was every student will complete at least 30 hours of community service as part of a local graduation requirement. I know y'all had several other different ones, right? I know my group did, but y'all had several other different things. And our group argued on the con side, right? And there was a pro side. There was 2 con arguments and 2 pro side arguments on that issue. Another group, again, argued the con side as well. Our great group was able to work through the con issues and formulate an argument against the debate topic, and we then paired up with the other con group and worked through those things. And at the end of the day, they went to a mock debate where those 2 students would go up against the other 2 students and debate that topic. They had, was it 30 seconds? What do you have, a minute, 45 seconds? I can't remember.
We had a minute for topics and a 30-second rebuttal.
Okay, thank you. So they debated other issues requiring all students to complete at least 1 post-secondary course in high school, implementing school uniforms for all students, extending the school calendar from 180 to 200 days, and requiring 30 hours of community service as a local graduation requirement. That was the whole groups of what they had to discuss, right? You know, as far as their debate topic. Our group did a wonderful job of the debate, and they ended up winning their debate. And from their deliberations, TSBA will develop a report of their recommendation to be published in the TSBA April Journal, which is sent to each school board member in Tennessee. So y'all make sure y'all look out for that, and you'll be able to see how, you know, from the whoever won those debates will be published. I'm proud to report that our students were actively engaged throughout the conference. They participated meaningfully in small group sessions, demonstrated critical thinking during policy discussions. They collaborated effectively with peers from other districts, and they gained valuable insight into school governance processes. I think the experience provided our students with practical understanding of how school boards operate, how we develop policies, public speaking opportunities in a supportive yet challenging environment. They also had networking connections as well, that they networked with students across the country, and they had critical thinking development, I believe, as well, through analysis of complex educational issues. I'd like to express appreciation to TSBA for organizing an event like this, to Deborah Arguello and Kent Case for their excellent supervision and guidance, the administrators and teachers who supported the students in this endeavor, and the parents who encouraged their children to engage in this civic opportunity. Based on the positive outcomes of the experience, I recommend that we continue supporting student participation in the SCOPE conference, considering implementing student advisory positions to our own board committees, which we've done that with Mr. Narcisse, and maybe additional ones in the future, create more opportunities for students to voice in our policy-making processes, and share the insights gained from this conference with a broader educational community. So with that, I just wanted to give you all that quick little update, and I wanted to give you all a certificate for y'all's participation, and I want to thank y'all as y'all exemplified Tipton County schools to the utmost, and I'm so thankful to be able to be a part of what y'all did, and so thank y'all for doing what you do. So I want to give y'all these certificates here, and I appreciate y'all coming tonight and being a part of this and being the students that you are leading your high schools very well. Thank
Hey, before y'all sit down too, let me get a picture of everybody with their certificates.
Mr. Jacob Weatherford, thank you. Mr. Trey Narcisse, Miss Bailey Walton is not here tonight.
Yeah, y'all ask them.
What was the other one, 100?
All right, y'all ready?
200?
200. Quit putting people in front of you. I saw you do that. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, board, for allowing me to do that. I appreciate it. Take a look at your consent agenda. Have anything out that you want to pull out from the consent agenda? Nothing? I'm gonna pull out the science textbook adoption board just for discussion here. So part of the science textbooks adoption here, as far as just discussion on that, before we go to adopt that, I think before us, we had discussed this in our work session last time, and we were presented with the science textbooks, and before you, I think what we had presented and what we talked about in the science textbooks with the state standards and stuff was, I think as a board, we disagreed in how they were presented on a lot of things, right? I mean, I think that was kind of the consensus I felt like that we had as a board, right? And the science textbooks that were presented, especially with the high school science textbooks. I will say this, is we've talked about it, is we, in no means, it's not on the teachers, right? It was not on the teachers. They did what they had to do given the textbooks that they were given. It really, those textbooks were the state mandated textbooks, or what come from the state textbook committee. And so we expressed that concern when the teachers were here presenting those reviews for us and stuff, but we were able to express some of the concerns that we had with the textbooks. And I'm very thankful for y'all's, how y'all engaged in that. And so we disagreed on a lot of the stuff that we saw in the textbooks. And unfortunately, what we're presented with the state and the state standards is against our values as a board. I think it's the values of our community, and it's disheartening. I think it's very disheartening, and I think I think I speak for all of you, and if I don't, and if you want to dissent, that's fine. But we disagree with a lot of the state standards, especially when it comes to the evolutionary side of things, right? As it's taught as fact, not as theory. There are several things that were in the textbook, such as climate change, that pushed it from a side that we would disagree on. It didn't offer another opinion on the climate change things. There were things in there about vaccines that I think several of us would probably disagree on. And there were numerous things that were stated as fact rather than, and conjecture rather than as opinion, and it didn't offer up the other side. And so I think as a board, we disagree with a lot of that. And so with that, and it's one of those things is that we have to adopt a material, unfortunately. And but our hands are tied because of the way the state has their standards, and we disagree with it. So I think we have to take action at times, with our legislators and stuff. But I think with that, I want to present a resolution that I think we've worked hard on as far as that is concerned. And so what I want to do is before we adopt these textbooks, trying to think about how we'd adopt them, or we go with the resolution first, or how you best think we ought to do this?
I'd probably adopt it first and then go with the resolution stating, kind of your thoughts about that after the adoption.
So
that's the order I would.
All right, so with that, I just want to state that with the adoption process of these textbooks, which we are going on record saying we disagree with, but we don't really have any other options out there at this point in time. And so we could put that back into the consent agenda and vote on the consent agenda as one, and that adopts those textbooks. Did you bring that to us as is that how this is being brought?
Yes.
Is that your recommendation to bring these textbooks?
Correct, yeah, that's in your folder that you and I will both sign off on if the board approves it. Correct.
I think that's how I'd like to I think we vote on that separately than the consent agenda.
That's
I
fine.
think we vote on the textbook adoption separately as rather than the consent agenda. So we'll pull that out, we'll vote on that separate. Let's vote the consent agenda, which would be the minutes of the previous meeting, the personnel update, and the 2026-2027 school calendar, pulling out the science textbook adoption. So that's gonna be on board. So do we have a motion for the consent agenda without, that's minus the science textbook adoption? Do we have a motion to approve? Mr. McCann's got a motion, we got a second. Ms. Eubanks, we got a second. Do we have any discussion on that? All right, that motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed. As far as the science textbook adoption, let's, we'll pull that out. Does anybody wanna make a motion, or does anybody wanna say anything at this point, to talk about that at this point, other than what I've said?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
With the vote, and, I like the fact of the resolution. Kind of state my facts is where we stand, and this, we're gonna have to get with our representatives and continue to push on this till we get to where we want.
I like what you said about the teachers in the beginning. I think it may have been taken a little off at first, just because we were all so passionate about what we were talking about. I think Dr. Bird administered textbook adoption like you were supposed to, and this is, the teachers did what they were supposed to, pulling out what the standards were that they need to teach. And I think one thing I would ask is us to look into specifically the standards. We know that textbooks are trash, but which standards it is that we're interested in, kind of having a united front and talking to our people about our representatives. And, because I've been asked that already. It's obvious, you can pull the evolution out, but there's an argument to be had there about the special draws or whatever it was that we talked about.
Any other discussion on it? Well, this is the hard part, where we have to adopt a textbook that we don't agree with, right? And we don't have any other options, we gotta put some textbooks in our kids' hands, right? So, at this point, we make a motion to adopt the textbooks as they are, as we approved. The ones that were, was it from the textbook adoption committee, is that right? We approved the ones that were approved by the textbook adoption committee?
That were
So
recommended.
that were recommended by the so motion is that we approve the recommended textbooks by the textbook adoption committee. Do we have any discussion on that? No discussion?
I mean, there's not much, I mean, we have to adopt something, right?
Yes.
That's what was recommended to us.
Correct, yep. All
We
in,
got a very well-written resolution.
Yeah.
That makes it well known, so
Yeah.
I'm all for that, so.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm gonna be the opposer here. I'll say no on that,
I'm
but
gonna say no.
the ayes have it. Fair enough. With that comes the resolution. Then I think we all stand behind the resolutions before you, right? Let me say this, let me say this, and I'm gonna read this and then we'll go to the resolution. Tonight, I want to present a resolution that emerged directly from our board's ongoing commitment to seeing that our students get the best education they can. This resolution began during our work session last month when we identified significant concerns, fallacious content, and significant conjectures within the proposed science textbooks. I want to be clear that this initiative originated within our board and was not brought to us by any external organization. I believe this resolution represents our independent work as elected officials dedicated to serving this district and its citizens. After careful review, our board has found that these textbooks, which are said to align with Tennessee state standards and are approved by the State Board of Education, contain content that contradicts what we understand to be true. Truth is not subjective, nor is it based on personal preferences. Rather, it is what accords with reality, particularly regarding the theory of evolution presented in these materials, which I will state is not the only issue within these books. We have significant concerns about the scientific validity. Even setting aside religious considerations, which I hold dear, the proposed evolutionary model taught in these books and in the Tennessee state standards contain numerous scientific impossibilities and unresolved contradictions that fail to meet the standards of empirical evidence we expect in our educational materials, one being that you and I come from ooze. Through a collaboration with Dr. Combs, Dr. Bird, and myself, as well as listening to your concerns addressed at our last meeting, we were able to draft a resolution that addresses many of the concerns where we believe the instructional materials fall short of presenting objective truth to our students. The resolution, I believe, stands on its own merit and affirms our commitment as a board to upholding conservative, biblical, and truth-holding values that guide our educational mission. I'm proud of the thoughtful work that this group has put into drafting this resolution, and I believe this resolution demonstrates our board's commitment to making decisions based solely on what's best for our school community, and that's teaching and the upholding of what is true. With that context, I'd like to present the resolution for your consideration. Board, if you'll find that resolution, I'd like to look at it. Now, I'm going to read it. It's a resolution by the Tipton County Board of Education. Whereas the Tipton County Board of Education is charged with developing and implementing the instructional programs under the state academic standards as set forth in Tennessee Code annotated 49-1-314. And whereas state testing is designed under the auspices of the Tennessee Department of Education to assess adherence to these standards and measure student, teacher, school, and district performance based on these standards. And whereas certain state academic standards are misaligned with conservative and traditional family values held by many within our community. And whereas the Tipton County Board of Education is authorized and required to adopt textbooks and instructional materials to be used in its schools from the list of textbooks and instructional materials listed for adoption by the Commission, as set forth in Tennessee Code annotated 49-6-2207. And whereas publishers of said textbooks often have a proclivity to take certain liberties to go beyond the state's academic standards and present theories, i.e. evolution, climate change, etc., and conjecture as fact that may conflict with the beliefs of many families within our community. And whereas the Tipton County Board of Education, in its entirety, and including its superintendent, vehemently oppose instructional content that is contrary to that found in the Bible and does not accord with truth. And therefore, be it resolved that the Tipton County Board of Education adopts these textbooks and instructional material under the duress and voiced opposition to certain standards that do not align with our values and those of our community. Further, we will make this resolution known to our parents and our community members as a caution to review the materials their children bring home to use as preparation for testing of the standards set forth by the Tennessee Board of Education and state legislators. Be it further resolved that the Tipton County Board of Education commits to, number one, encouraging teachers to respectfully acknowledge that certain scientific theories included in the state-approved curriculum remain subjects of ongoing debate and are not universally accepted. Number two, utilizing supplemental materials that provide balance to the content in state-approved textbooks and mandated standards. Number three, affirming that parents have the right to review all instructional materials and to address concerns about specific content that may conflict with their values through established procedures as outlined in Tennessee Code annotated 49-6-7003. And number four, advocating at the state level for standards and textbooks that better reflect the values of our community. That is our resolution. Board, do we have any discussion on that resolution?
It's pretty solid.
Thank you.
The resolution's on point, and I really do, and I know we're handcuffed by the state, and that's who it comes down to, period, is the state. No one else. It's what they give us. The liberties within these textbooks, I was looking over the anatomy and physiology last night, late, and it even goes as far as it talks about in the chapter 23, the reproduction section, it uses the term clump of cells upon fertilization of an egg, which is a nice little liberty that we like to see and that we hate to see in the news. And it says that clump of cells is not a child until its 38th week. But then that chapter goes into how that clump of cells progresses into a human, but it's not a human until it's 38 weeks. The liberties at hand, the resolution's on point. I'm all about the resolution, but the fear of mine is what's in these books going to our kids and what they're reading, because I think the vast majority of our teachers are gonna teach it the way we feel like will fit our standards as a board. But the amount of liberty within, if anybody wants to milk that, they have that opportunity by the state standard and by the context within the verbiage of the books. So the resolution's great, but that's the biggest reason I can't get behind these books.
Any other discussion?
Who do we send this resolution to? I mean,
Yeah.
how does that get out?
I'm gonna send it up to the commissioner and the state board. And it'll just be, it's basically, we were talking about this, it's basically, by law, you have to adopt the textbooks, and y'all have done that, right? So that our teachers have something to teach, and, we don't wanna hamper them in what they need to do in the classroom. But this is basically your disclaimer
right, as a board, that you're saying, look, we're adopting these, state law says we need to adopt something, we have these, we're putting them in teachers' hands, but we just don't agree with it. So that's what this is. And it'll go to the education commissioner and it'll go to the state board.
Any other questions? If not, we have a motion to approve the resolution. Got a motion by Mr. Jenkins. We have a second. Got a second by Mr. Lavelle. Any other discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That resolution passed.
And let me add, before y'all leave, make sure everybody signs
Yeah.
this
We'll
copy.
get- you got the right-
copy.
Yeah, okay.
Is that okay?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Policy committee report, Mr. McCann.
All right, policy committee met at 5 o'clock. Everybody was present. So we reviewed section 6.1 up to 6.4, and we're not recommending any changes other than we did pull one out, section, our policy 6.303. I think Mr. Gary, you had some questions. We'll let the attorney just get some feedback from them.
Absolutely.
How they feel about it. But other than that, we're not recommending any changes, and we'll review the second half of section 6, next month. That's all I got.
Thank you. So do we have a motion to approve 6.100 through 6.4 minus 6.303? Correct? Is that right? We have a motion to approve that. Got a motion by Mr. Lavelle. We got a second. Second by Ms. Reed. We have any discussion on that? Any other questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed. Dr. Bird, instructional report?
Sir, thank you. We want to congratulate Brighton High School, their vet science program. Now, this is exciting news. As you know, we have a veterinary science clinic at Munford High School. We now have the same thing at Brighton High School. And it is ready to get up and running. They have received their certification as a community animal clinic. Their main goal, Munford High School's vet science lab serves cats. Brighton's will serve medium to large size dogs. And we look forward to seeing how this program will grow at Brighton High School. So feel free, board members. I don't know that we'll do another tour until next school year, but if you want to stop in, I'm sure they would love to show you around that new vet science lab. So they have their certification ready, so they're very proud of that. The strategic plan draft is in your online folder. I know we worked a lot on that at your board retreat, and we do have that draft ready for you to review. The ideas that you all generated at our board retreat are also included. If you'll remember, we had the charts with all the sticky notes. I took pictures of, or I scanned them, and those are in your folder as well, so that you can refer back to make sure that I included your thoughts in their entirety. If there's anything I left off, certainly. Mr. Chair, I'm not sure if you want to discuss that at an upcoming work session. I don't know that you want to vote on that tonight, but I did want to provide that draft, and then we'll follow your lead on how you want to proceed with that.
Sounds good.
Okay? And then the last thing I have, you all have already approved the 25-26 student handbook at the February board meeting, but to meet requirements by the Department of Education, we need to insert policy 6.4001 into the handbook. That is not a new policy, it just wasn't in the handbook. The revised handbook has been added again into your online folder. It's under my tab. Mr. Chair, I would need a motion to make that revision. Just if you just for clarification, this policy addresses parents and guardians have to provide written, informed, and voluntary consent for their student to take any kind of survey. And so this will just ensure that parents are informed of this policy by putting it, I mean, it's in the policy manual, but we want to put it in that student handbook to make sure that they are aware of that, and that will help us. We had to recently complete a compliance form, and that was one of the things that was asked. So we need to insert that into the handbook, and again, Mr. Chair, I need a motion to make that revision.
We have a motion to make that revision. Got a motion by Mr. Edwards, got a second. Second by Mr. Jenkins. Any discussion on that? Good. Okay, question?
I'm gonna hold back.
Okay, okay,
It's all good.
okay. All right, I saw you.
You had that look.
Okay, I'm sure there's more to it, I just don't know.
Yes,
Okay, it is what it is.
we are required to do that.
I'm
Yes,
okay
sir.
with that.
It's following the law.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed.
Unless anyone has questions, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Bird.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Dr. Bird? Thank you, Dr. Bird. Mr. Fields?
Good afternoon. Enclosed in your package is some information we gave out at the principals meeting. It discusses what we should do if a federal agent is at our school door. Please read it at your leisure. It's very clear, it's very explicit. I do not see it happening much in our area, however, in other school districts, they are experiencing it. If you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call or email me. Moving forward, we're going to scrutinize POAs a little more, power of attorney. I think we've always did a great job of not setting barriers, when kids come in and, if they lose their home or the parents being incarcerated. But more times than not, I get a lot of fraudulent information. So we're gonna do a better job of, inspecting the POAs, and you'll probably get calls because the last 30 years, hey, just go get a POA and you can get the kid in school. Not saying that we're not gonna accept them, but we're just gonna make sure that everything is accurate. Open enrollment will end April the 30th. I would like to encourage all the parents that may be watching to take advantage of this opportunity, because we're not going to approve hardships or special exemptions because you missed the open enrollment period. That happens a lot. We can't do that. I would like to commend Mark McLean and Wendy McDivitt. They're over our GAP program. They've graduated over 40 students currently. So that's 40 students in our county that wouldn't be dropouts, and the high schools will take hits. So they're doing a great job.
It's awesome. That's awesome.
July 22nd, our board attorney will be here to cover Title IX and Title VI investigations. This is a compliance that we have to do every year to make sure our administrators know how to investigate properly. Just some good news. I think everybody knows Mr. Jones, our county SRO that's out front. One thing he does is goes around to every school. He hits every school in a 2-week window to make sure all the doors are locked and all the doors are secure. That's a big deal because when he started, almost every school would accidentally have a door propped open. The last couple of weeks, no reports. So he's going after it. I don't know if I did this last month, but I would like to congratulate Mumford High School boys for advancing to the state basketball tournament. I think it's the last time that this happened with our boys since 1987 with Covington High School boys. So if you see the coach, you see the players, give them a pat on the back. Mr. Chair, that's all I have. If you don't have any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Fields? No?
Thank you,
I'd like
Mr.
to yield my time to transportation.
Thank you.
I have one.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Fields.
I mean, come on up, the company Fields, I don't know, we lost a retired, old principal this week, Mr. John O'Well. Make sure everybody knew about that, one of the principals at our old school, we're trying to rebuild,
Yep.
condolences to his family.
One of the metal plaques that was saved after the tornado was on the main sign up front, and we still have that, so that'll have its place in the new building. Yeah, good guy.
Great guy.
Yeah.
He was my principal. Was he any?
I
was the only one?
Church.
Yeah, great guy. 100%. Yep. Awesome. You say transportation?
Yes.
Oh, Will.
Good afternoon. It's not gonna be easy for me, I'm gonna tell everybody right now. I'm gonna do my best. As many of you are probably already aware, we had an enormous loss to our transportation family a few weeks ago. Mr. Benny Rowe passed away Sunday, March 23rd. Mr. Benny Rowe dedicated nearly 50 years of his life to driving a bus here for Tipton County Schools. His official hire date was November the 2nd, 1979. If I said nothing else other than that about Mr. Benny, that should be more than enough for all of us to appreciate him and his incredible loyalty. I personally kept thinking about that date. It was astounding to me that Mr. Benny had already been driving a bus for more than a decade when I started at Brighton Elementary. Just to put this in perspective, the band Styx went triple platinum with their album Cornerstone, led by the song Babe. The top grossing movie in 1979 was Superman, starring Christopher Reeve, along with other classic films like Rocky II, Alien, Escape from Alcatraz, and one of my favorites, The Jerk. Jimmy Carter was the president, and Sony released a Walkman. Tipton County Schools Superintendent was Hyatt Williams, and our very own Dr. Combs was the young age of 9.
Thanks, Will, appreciate that.
Mr. Benny worked with 4 superintendents, 7 different supervisors, and countless fellow drivers. And the last few years, Mr. Benny was actually transporting grandchildren of some of his past children. The only thing to me that was more incredible than the number of years that he drove was the dedication to making sure that he was doing his route each and every day. Some of you may be aware that a huge part of our job is making sure that all routes are covered every day. We have this dry erase board in our office where we write down all the drivers that will be out each day. Mr. Benny on bus 149, we never had to worry about. He was going to be on that bus doing his route regardless of what was going on or how he felt. He had to get out there. He had to pick up what he liked to refer to as his adopted grandchildren. A few years back, Mr. Benny's wife of 66 years started showing signs of dementia. I was told Mr. Benny would get up in the morning, sneak out of the house as if not to wake her. He would do his morning route and make sure he was back home with her before she got out of bed. In the afternoon, he would always arrange for a friend or family member to be with her so he could get back on his bus and take his kids home. On the night of May the 12th, 2022, an unimaginable tragedy devastated Mr. Benny and his family. He lost one of the most precious things in the world to him, his granddaughter, Katie. She was 39. The next morning, May the 13th, Mr. Benny Rowe was back on his bus, taking his other grandchildren to school. He never missed one shift the day of or the days after Katie's passing. One Monday in the spring of last year, I came in the office after lunch and I seen something on the board I'd never seen before. It was Mr. Benny's name. He couldn't drive that afternoon. He was having some trouble breathing and his daughter Donna had to force him to go to the hospital. The day before, he was outside spraying Roundup and the doctors diagnosed him with chemical pneumonia. He drove that morning with chemical pneumonia. He was 85 years old at the time. I talked to Mr. Benny later that day and I asked him, Mr. Benny, why are you outside on such a windy day spraying Roundup? His response was, well, Willis, I was wearing a mask. You always call me Willis, nothing else. He only missed 2 more days after that Monday getting over his pneumonia. I calculated that Mr. Benny drove about 40 miles a day, 20 in the morning, 20 in the afternoon. That comes out to approximately 7,200 miles a year. Over the course of 46 years, he put more than 330,000 miles behind the wheel of the school bus. From all of us at the Transportation Department, we could not possibly express how much we appreciate his hard work, dedication, and making sure the children of our community got back and forth to school safely. Hearts and prayers go out to his family, and he will truly always be missed. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Will.
Build all buses, build all buses. I'm coming to you from bus 149, Mr. Benny's bus himself. Let's everybody go in 3, 2, 1.
Thank you, great job, thank you. Well, we gotta pull ourselves together, boys, okay? I don't know about y'all. Now, thank y'all for that. Capital projects, construction, Mr. Bennett.
If you hadn't noticed by now, you work around the school system long enough, you get to touch all your feelings. Highs and lows. So we'll give you some good news here. Thank you for that, Will. I said that wasn't that much respect for, commitment to Mr. Roloff and the community. I'll give you an update on the construction site. Currently, guys, we're running at about, the masonry is looking on the block, not the brick, but the masonry, we're looking at about 80% complete. With good weather, we're hopeful to get that all complete with the structural steel is about 75 complete. Hopeful within a month, we're gonna have that completely and they'll be out of the way. And then the roofers, if you can't see much of them, other than maybe some heads running around out there, but it's, if you look through some pictures that Dr. Bird loaded on y'all, you'll see how far they're coming along with the roofers are chasing the steel, the deck installers, they're right behind them. I mean, breathing down the neck, eating lunch with each other, telling them, come on. So it's been interesting to watch those guys, continue just to button things up. And so the roofers, areas J, H, and G will be finished. The roof will be completely finished next week. So which that tells us that they're gonna be moving into those areas with insulation and sheetrock here within the next couple of weeks. The windows that are in the absorptory area, if you guys recall in our middle school side where we got the raised area, we've got the natural light that comes in. They've started installing the windows in that area. Looks really cool. I'm not sure if there's a picture in there, but if not, I will get you one. So that's gonna be a really cool area. Areas J, H, and G, again, I said moving insulation in a couple weeks. The second safe room, the roof is being poured in the morning. So I know that this past weather, everyone's wanting to know where can we get storm shelter. Well, give us a little more time. We're gonna have another option. So the grading of the softball field will begin next week as well. So you're gonna see that's the west side of the campus. You'll see some dirt. You wonder what's going on. That's where they're getting that prep for the softball field to be started. Guys, I mean, the trades continue to show up and show out. I know whenever we had the little ceremony here recently for the staff to come by and do a beam signing from the top out, and then you drive by today, I mean, I walked it this morning, it's a completely different feel. You're walking down hallways that are swept, and all your sprinkler systems are installed, so it's moving along. And to the point, I just wanted to give a shout out to, so Ron Spleen, he's the senior project manager on the project, but walking with him today, I asked him, I said, Ron, how do you judge this one compared to all of the other 30 schools that you've built as far as your municipalities and your inspectors and whatnot? He said, I can definitely assure you I've enjoyed working in Tipton County and the commitment that this community continues to give us as a contractor. He's like, the state farm marshal, Tommy Smith, has explained to him, you are my #1 job. If you need something, you call me, I will be here. We will not be the reason this school doesn't get built. As well as getting the same service from your electrical inspectors and from the city officials. So guys, it takes more than just Linkus, coming in and being the wonderful contractor they are. But if you see any of these inspectors, or any of these, if you know any of them, give them a shout out. It takes their commitment as well, because without their commitment, the guys' hands are tied. They can't go to the next step. So And the commitment to the trades, Doc and I drove by, Friday morning during all the rains, just kind of put an eye on things, and there were guys in there working. I mean, storm just literally had just blown over, and we're riding, we didn't have hard hats on, or we'd have, went in with them, but, they were ants, if you would, inside there working, so. It's exciting, I understand we've got still big, financial questions that still gotta be worked through, but trust me, the progress on the site is impressive. So if you guys want another tour, want to give another shout, let me know, we'll arrange it. We can make that happen for you guys. But other than that, does anybody have any other questions for me regarding your areas?
No damage from any winds or anything?
No, actually, so I appreciate you asking about that. We did not, we weathered them quite well. The one person, well, there's three people that had, one of them was in this room, and Dr. Combs' office took on some water. So we got to evacuate him for a couple of days, so he had our roof drains here, but we were holding some water, and it dripped on his desk and Steve Macklin, so, but we were fortunate enough through the ESSER funds, guys, just remember, we put new roofs on almost all of our buildings now, except for the central office. I don't know how we would have gotten through the past week with all those roofs, at least hearing the stories from the guys that have been here before we had the roofs, and the trash cans, and how they literally just ran trash cans. I don't know how we would have weathered that storm, so. I wasn't here for all that, I was here when I rolled into town on this project, we were putting their roofs on, so that was right before my time. But I much appreciate it, and as we work through budgets, we'll find some more things that we need, but the roofs were definitely money well spent, for sure.
No doubt.
All right,
The
thank you.
temporary building, during all of that, they did okay?
They did well, I mean, we didn't take on any water, I mean, they.
We walked them, we went
Yeah,
through
we
and
went-
checked them
we
during
went
the
there.
storm,
They
yeah,
held it up.
Twins,
There's-
I was wondering.
yeah.
So, yeah, they,
Doesn't mean we wanna keep them,
no.
but they did withhold the storm, they did
They
withstand the storm.
they weathered some storms, so
Yeah.
I will say.
All right, thank y'all for your group,
Yes, sir.
for for all that rain and stuff, being out there slopping up mud and unclogging drains and all that stuff. Y'all did a fantastic job. Dr. Combs was out there. Y'all did a heck of a job, so thank y'all for all that y'all did.
Sometimes we have that quick, we got to forget things quickly, but you're right, that day was fun. Yeah, we had to get out the mini X and dig out that storm drain covered in high school.
Appreciate y'all for your dedication
And on
there.
the tour also, the teachers, that was good.
Yeah.
That was neat.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
them getting to tour the new sites was good.
Procurement of everything. How are we looking on procurement for just even, not only furnishings, but with just supply, like, building supplies and stuff? We looking good on
Yeah,
that?
I mean, I haven't heard of any, of course, as far as the building procurement of all of that, I haven't heard any reasons for challenges, whether it be for tariffs or availability or anything. I haven't heard any, concerns at all. As a matter of fact, they're just rocking along. They just need sunshine. As far as the furniture piece, we're diving into, we will know more of how that will have an impact. As a matter of fact, we're looking to work with ImageWorks. They're gonna be providing us some furniture packages of how that looks, so they have much confidence as far as the timelines that are necessary to hit our goal, if you will. And we'll see where they come in from,
What's that process look like?
for furniture. Not, I don't wanna speak too far out of line on this one, I know that they're gonna provide us, because we want options, but we also know that we're working within the restraints of a tight
Sure.
budget.
Yep.
I mean, so what's available and what we can afford, will be probably two different things.
We have a committee helping with that, to choose some of that? with
We're gonna have a-
furniture and stuff, is that correct?
Yes, we're gonna have a team from each school, we're gonna have some representatives from each of the schools, along with probably Jamie, and possibly, I haven't told her yet, Dr. Bird, sorry. And then, they'll come together with that and then work with those vendors to help, and the vendors will tell them, look, here's your options, you kinda have to stay within what we're gonna be reimbursed for. And the plan is to do that basically yesterday.
That was what I was gonna
Cause
ask.
cause some stuff's gonna be out for a minute, so, that's right, so we're gonna get on that pretty quick.
Well, with me, of course, during the whole interview process, and we try to drill them down and pin them down, and how, important our project is we're not worried about anyone else, we're worried about ours. They have multiple suppliers, multiple vendors in order to be able to try to, let's just say we want a specific table, and that particular table wasn't gonna get lead time, but so hopefully they could reach out to another vendor, They had a large, a couple pages of different vendors that they could reach out to. And then, I think Steel Case was their main number one, which is a large player in that, furniture world. But, one of the cool things about the team that stood out with ImageWorks is their abilities to offer like PD training on how to use this different types of furniture that's available in now, as far as how like group settings, individual, how you take the tables and break them apart, and some different ideas, like in our observatory area, there's gonna be areas within the hallway where they can have breakout sessions, I guess, if you will, and how to utilize those. So there'll be some,
They'll
think
never wanna be in
outside.
the classroom again.
They'll have-
They'll never wanna be in the classroom
Right.
again.
We'll discuss that at one of these meetings, how we make that happen. So, any other questions?
Thank you, honey.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Daugherty, financial report.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As quick as I was last month, so y'all get caught. No, first of all, want to bring your attention to your online folder there. The financial reports for General Purpose School Fund 141, School Federal Projects Fund 142, Central Cafeteria Fund 143, and the 177 Capital Projects Fund are spread across your folder there on revenues and expenditures for the month of March. Just want to bring your attention there, no action needed. Next, I just want to take a moment just to recognize you all and say thank you for the amount of effort that y'all been putting into these work sessions to go over the budget and to work on the budget, especially for our last session. I believe we're about to pull it together. I want to talk about a couple of things as we go to wrap up the budget, fiscal year 26 budget submission. But one thing I want to take up first, the K-9 contract that we have, as a matter of fact, that we had the opportunity to use today, as a matter of fact. But that is up for renewal. Now typically, that type of a contract doesn't come before you all because it is a contract that is 12 months or less. It's not above the threshold that's required to be bid on. But because of the focus on safety and security, you all had asked questions about that in the past. So that contract is in your folder tonight. And I wanted you to have the opportunity to review that. Typically, just the executive committee, meaning Chairman Schenkel and Dr. Combs, would sign these contracts that take place within a fiscal year. But because of our discussions on safety and security, I wanted you all to see this. And also, Mr. Turner is here with me tonight to answer any specific questions that you may have as he supervises that contract and those operations as part of his duties with security. So, Mr. Chairman, is there any questions regarding that contract or that operation from anyone?
Any questions? No questions? Y'all see that in y'all's folders, Interquest Detection K-9s? Any questions on that?
Who maintains the K-9? Is it,
It's a company called Interquest.
who maintains the dog, or?
Maybe it's
I'm just curious.
Each dog that they have has the same handler. And, I don't know how many this particular company has. They have Tennessee and Alabama as part of their district. But the guy, Jay, that services us, he does West Tennessee and I think a little bit of North Alabama. But each one has a dog. They keep it at home, much like, the police K-9 unit, they take the dog home, We were able to, like, I don't wanna say luck out, it was happenstance today that they were in the area. The police or law enforcement has to call a bomb dog a lot of times. It takes quite a long time to get out here, and sometimes they say, we don't wanna come out, but they just happened to be in the area today, so maybe, cause the only thing that's been better, we've been starting off at Crestview Middle instead of Mumford Middle. We got here a lot quicker, so it just helped to sweep the area, get the kids back in class.
But they work in conjunction with local law enforcement, I assume, they're not just.
Yeah, they will, pretty much the SROs go around with the K-9 when we go to the schools, it's all random. The only people that know when this K-9 is coming is obviously the company and myself. Dr. Combs doesn't know till the day of, and I'll text him in the morning and say, hey, K-9's in town, and, so, you know, I'm the only one knows when they're coming, and, till that day, but,
And Mike, they are their own entity, like, it's like how we outsource with Le Bonheur for our nurses, it's the same with this, like, we outsource with this group, so they aren't in any capacity in conjunction with any of our law enforcement. They are separate from that, but our law enforcement can certainly use them or be a part of that, like Lynn was saying, but
yeah,
they're not.
It doesn't preclude law enforcement from running their particular,
Right.
dogs either. The Interquest dogs, they alert on several different things, you know, whether it be gunpowder, whether it be prescription drugs, whether it be scheduled drugs. And they've just now, certified all their dogs on fentanyl.
Really?
So, yeah,
Nice.
so, it's,
Very nice.
we're just trying to be proactive. The kids know that about once a month, we're gonna show up. And, it's really, I think it's really dropped what's in our schools. It's really helped. Because a lot of times we don't get anything but Tylenol, which is good. So,
Any other questions? Do we need a motion? You want a
Well,
motion?
that's not
No?
necessary,
No?
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
just for the sake of it, if we
Fair
could
enough.
just, entertain a motion to approve that contract for fiscal year 26.
Yeah, do we have a motion to approve that? I got a motion by Mr. Eubanks, seconded by Mr. Jenkins down there. We have any discussion, any other discussion on that?
Isn't the price the same?
Price is the same.
Any other, if not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion passed. Thank you.
All right, next, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to bring to, the board's attention a renewal of another contract for your all's consideration. As you're aware, in the year 2017, there was a data breach that occurred in the district, where employees' information was released inadvertently to the wrong party. As part of, the response to that breach, the district offered, identity theft protection, through Norton LifeLock, and, Norton LifeLock was the company, I believe. And, in 2021, when I got here, we were still providing that coverage, spending just under $50,000 a year, every year for that coverage. I negotiated with a new company in 22, ID Watchdog, or year before last, actually. ID Watchdog, reduced that to $35,000 a year. There's been no, breach, or no identification of anybody's information, as a result of the breach. It is time to renew the contract. I will say that in a situation, it's statutory requirement of anybody who breaches or releases data, they have to provide for 1 year from the incident that coverage. Now, this district has provided that coverage since 2017, for everyone. So it's time for the board to make a decision if we're going to, re-up the contract, for another year, or if not. And so, if so, that's another, at least $35,000, requirement on the budget. I will say that this last enrollment has dropped off dramatically. We, of course, as we're doing right now on a recorded board meeting, we advertised that we were changing companies, we sent out, we posted to our website, and we don't have near as many enrollees as we did once. And so, it's time to bring it back up. Do you want to renew the contract?
Ms. Eubanks?
Okay, so I was employed at the time when that happened, in 2017, so I know the rate was high of enrollment at that time. And that's gonna be my question, what, like, percentage drop, I mean, where are we at on people enrolling now?
Well, we went from, my understanding, there were 1,700 or so people when it first happened. I haven't seen that enrollment report. When I got here, there was 1,400 and something. This past year, 249 people.
That's what I figured.
But we're paying for it as if the entire lot.
Right.
And so I asked the company to provide, an estimate if we did it per individual. Well, if we do it per individual, we forfeit the employer contract discount, and then it quadruples, per person.
Haven't we, also gotten cyber insurance since then?
That is correct, and so, in response in 2020, fiscal year 2022, the district, took on cyber liability insurance and has maintained that since, and will continue to do so as well.
I mean, at some point, it's gotta come to the end. It's not something we can just keep going for, you know, I mean, it's been 8 years.
If we've met our judicial, you said it was a year after the incident,
That's right, 1 year required by statute.
I would put a motion out there to cancel the.
I would second.
We're more than.
So I got a motion on the floor to cancel the, ID watchdog.
Our right expired.
I got a second by Mr. McKeon. Discussions on the floor.
I mean, we've had it 8 years, only required for one. How much personal information been compromised since then? I mean, you get something in the mail all the time saying your data was stolen, so. I mean, that's $35,000, that real money.
Right. And again, we've added cyber
And added
insurance
that-
since then,
yep.
so that will cover a lot of what, right?
And in addition to that, in talking with the company, ID Watchdog, they agreed that if we chose in the future tonight, that they would offer a program to our employees to continue that coverage on their own,
Sure.
ability.
We've gone from 1,700 to 200.
249 was the last enrollment number that I got from the folks.
Billy, when does this coverage expire?
The contract's set to sunset June 30th of this year. Now, once this board makes that decision, I'll reach out to the company because there is a clause of notice to end the contract or not to renew. There's an automatic renewal clause. And of course, that could be negotiated if we transfer it to where the employees are allowed to take it on themselves. Worst case scenario, we carry the contract 1 more year and we notify them at July 1st, we're not gonna do it. Otherwise, we can tell them now, June 30th, it would sunset. I can bring you back that information. If this board votes that tonight, I'll reach out to them and I'll bring back to our work session the outcome of that. So we know for sure what that's going to be.
And assuming you'll let the employees know that this will be sunsetting if this is voted on?
Yes, sir, that's
As soon
correct.
as possible.
As soon as we have the specifics of what to do and how to enroll on their own, we will do that.
Gotcha. Any other discussion or anything? Well, the motion's on the floor. Do we have, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, the next thing I want to talk about is our CTE program, which y'all know is great, right? We've been very fortunate this year, though we've had a lot of students make it to nationals in programs like HOSA and DECA and FCCLA and different things. And so with that, traveling to those national competitions comes with a cost. And oftentimes, these clubs pay for their, the HOSA club and those people, they pay for their travels and their activities. But with them making it to nationals and representing us on a national level, I think it's time that the board might consider what contribution we're going to make. Now, currently the board, in any sports team that makes it to state, the board reimburses 50% of all cost to the schools for those costs. I want to bring that to your attention. I'm not asking for any action tonight. I think we need to address that in our work session later this month when we're doing the budget amendments for this current year budget and also finalizing the vote on the next year's budget on how we're going to handle that. So if you're approached by constituency, obviously where a lot of people are excited about going to these national championships, it's on the radar here at Finance, and we're looking to how we can support that and to what level. And so just from the board's perspective, we'll need to know what your commitment level is going to be on that, because obviously there are a lot of other clubs too. And so what we do for one, we'll want to do for all, right?
Yep,
So
sounds
just
good.
for your
Thank you.
information on that.
Thank you.
And last thing, Mr. Chairman, that I have, after the work this board did in the work session and taking the information back that you all had me to do, I'm excited to say that I've been able to finalize the pay scale to meet state requirements for fiscal year 2027 in fiscal year 2026. And so we're going to, with that said, the budget will have a proposed, that you all see this more in detail in the work session, but you all also saw it in the last work session. But I just want you to know, we had 2 years to get there, but our starting teachers, if this pay scale passes, will have gone from making $47,267 a year to $50,487 a year to start. And so this is directly going to affect our teachers in our bachelor's and master's lane on our pay scale, which in turn affects every other pay scale that we discussed, that's built on the teacher matrix, all instructional scales. So there'll be an aggregate 4% raise across the board. When we say aggregate, that means because that's not everybody's gonna get 4%. For example, the starting year teacher salary went up 7%. Some of the master salaries went up 7%. Some of them only 2%, but it's aggregate. And so I wanted you to know, based on the numbers, and I will bring that to you. So out of our certified personnel, I told you it affects the bachelor's and master's lane is where the biggest hit, the biggest raise is going on this. 295 of our teachers have bachelor's, and 341 have masters. So that only leaves about 100 that's not gonna see the significant increase that the others. Now, they also will see at least a 3.4% increase, based on, the steps between the lanes and the raise that's coming to set the pay scale. Now, you all know from our work session, we still have more work we wanna do in getting that salary schedule set to where it's a consistency across, because over the years and all the growing pains, it's kind of grown into this large scale. And we're putting some uniformity to it with this, and we will continue to do that in the next years to come. But very excited about where we're supposed to be in 2027, we're there in 2026. It's gonna help with recruitment, and it's gonna help with retention, because the majority of our teachers are in those degree paths. So,
Awesome.
but that's all I have tonight. Of course, we'll finish up on our budget. I still don't have, a couple of numbers that I need, and probably we won't have. I talked to Director Bailey today for the ADC rate for our, state retirement. He says that he doesn't think he's gonna have it until sometime in May. Obviously, our budget's due May 1st, so I'll do a projection or prediction on that, and we'll talk about that in our work session. The other thing is we've been notified we're gonna do summer school again, this summer, so, I don't think we're gonna get those numbers till April, but I'm gonna project that in a budget amendment that I'm gonna bring to you all in the work session. So there's some things we gotta do to clean up this year's budget for year end, and then to finalize your vote on the fiscal year 26 budget. So, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report, unless there be any questions.
Any questions? Mr. Daugherty? Thank you.
Thank you.
As far as other business, Dr. Combs, you have an update for us on
I do.
schools or anything, or aren't?
On the, so we had the meeting the other day. Thank y'all for your well wishes. I got all your thumbs up and all those different emojis that you sent me before we had that meeting. So, we were in there for about 2.5 hours. For those that are listening, we had a meeting with, insurance, their attorney, our attorney, Linkus, our construction manager, and, our architects, about the school. As you know, there's still a gap, you know, in what we're gonna need from insurance to complete the building. The meeting was 2.5 hours, and I'll sum it up by saying it was, kind of what we expected, right? But there were some takeaways, so let me share those without going into a whole lot of detail. So, number one, insurance made it incredibly clear that there will be no further extensions granted. So we were granted it's 2 years from the date, the contract apparently says, or their policy says, 2 years from the date of the incident, is basically how long you have before you have to accept what they give you, right? Well, we requested an extension. We got a 6-month extension that brought us through September. And so, they made it very clear yesterday that no further extensions will be granted. So basically, we need to make sure that we're doing what we're gonna do and get what we're gonna get prior to September, at least agreements made prior to September, okay? That's one thing that was made abundantly clear. Second, it looks as if, y'all remember when we discussed a third-party appraiser? And remember, let me say this too. I know I put this in an email to everyone, but keep in mind, we're still working within our contract with insurance, right? You know, I've had people ask me, are you suing insurance? No, everything's been worked within the contract. The contract calls for all the things that we have done, right? Those are all catches in there. One of the things that it grants us is the opportunity to use a third-party adjuster. Well, after our meeting yesterday, that was also made clear. I mean, they didn't say it, but it's obvious that won't be necessary. The reason is because they agree with pricing, right? So before, they're like, we said no, Lincoln said concrete costs this much, and they said, no, it doesn't, it costs this much. That's no longer an issue with them. They're like, no, we agree with Lincoln's pricing. We agree with your CMAR's pricing. So you don't need a third-party adjuster, because all they do is work with pricing, right? Since there's no disagreement there, that's out. So we don't need them at this point, right? Now the discussion is gonna be as it regards scope. That's what we're gonna talk, scope of work.
right? So basically, this is what you have, this is what you want, you know, you're asking for too much rebar, or too much concrete, whatever, right? That's where we are right now. Some more things, Linkus will be adding some more specifics to the old school estimate that they provided for insurance. Insurance requested that, and so Linkus is gonna give them even more detail on what they asked for with the old buildings. Now, when we're working with insurance, they also made it abundantly clear that we're talking about the old build. Everything goes back to the old build. They said, you know, we're not talking about the new build. You know, what would it cost to build back the old buildings? Which y'all have seen that number, that's more money. So, fine by us, let's talk about the old build, right? So Linkus is working on those numbers, and we'll supply those probably within the next week and a half. And then the last thing I got out of it, it looks like this should make Billy happy. He was sitting in there too, he was trying to stay in his seat. More of our ACV should come to us within 30 days. Now, when I say more, he said do you remember? 7.3 million, something like that is what he's trying to get us in another check in 30 days.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, what that would do is basically carry us out for another month or two without y'all having to vote to dip into fund balance to get that money, because, I mean, you know, if you were in the same meeting I was, I really don't think a bond's happening. I don't feel that. So that's gonna be expected out of our fund balance. Well, what this does is, if that happens, then that gives us a little more time, right, that we can do that. So that was actually good to hear, because we hadn't heard that. We've been asking that question, as has our attorney, for quite some time, and hadn't really gotten a response. So that was good to hear. That came straight from insurance, not from insurance's attorney who said that. So, you know, we said we were grateful, said we would be very thankful for that. That will help keep us from having to dip into fund balance and spend money that would be great to spend on other schools, right? So, he said we're gonna try to get that within 30 days. Those are the big takeaways. There was a lot of posturing. Obviously, we had 3 attorneys in the room. No offense if anybody out there is listening, they're an attorney, but that's what it was. A lot of posturing. But, you know, I think we came out of it with those. Would you agree with that, Blake, Billy? You were both in there. I mean, nothing else other than that. You know, we're gonna move forward with this, see where they come next. I definitely see that gap decreasing. And we're still, you know, talking about other things, but, you know, there were some good takeaways in it, for sure. It was obvious that some weren't as prepared on the other side as maybe they should have been, but that's what we're looking like. So, you know, overall, you know, we weren't like high-fiving or anything when we came out of it, but at the same time, it could have gone a whole lot worse than that. We were kind of happy with, you know, at least the takeaways that we got. So I'm glad to answer any questions, or, you know, add anything I missed, guys. That's just try to boil down 2.5 to 5 minutes there.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Are the 3 of you all allowed to be in all the meetings, this negotiation? Are y'all allowed to be in all the meetings?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
And we
Yes,
are,
sir.
yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Gill?
We were owed, what was the figure, the 20 million, part of that ACV, that's that 7 million that we're fixing to get.
Yes, sir.
The ACV
The
is, I
gap.
think it's at 42. The ACV set at 42, something in
That's
there. So that 7 is that difference in what they paid us, the 25 plus what they paid straight to A2H, you know, and paid the several pay apps prior to us getting that big $25 million check. So that come out to be whatever 42 minus 7 would be, you know, those differences. I think 42 is somewhere in that ACV value. That's what we know we're owed. Right, the rest is depreciated cost, which is gonna come over time as we submit pay apps. That's where we were talking about the other day, is we don't know how quick they're gonna pay us back on that. So does that clear up what you were asking?
Any news on the contents side of it?
Yeah, we actually asked that question too. And in fact, did we get a clarification that they were gonna send us another 2.5 mil?
He sent the request in, he says the request is in for us to get right around $3 million more for contents on top of the 1.5 that we were paid initially. Now, just as the chairman just spoke of, there's a depreciated value there that goes up to, I think, $6 million that, you know, we'll have, for that gap, we'll have to produce receipts to get the rest of that. But that certainly is a Big 12 shot for this period of time when we want our cash flow continuing like it's supposed to be, right?
Another month.
And he said, and the thing, hey, and that's what he said. He said 30 days. We asked, we like, what type of turnaround are you talking about on us, and he said, I expect you to have the money within 30 days. Now, checks in the mail, heard that before, but I'll let you all know as soon as it's wired.
Well,
I'll notify you.
And there were comments made by, obviously that we push back on, things like, your contents need to be similar, right? Like if you had chairs, if you had student desks in there, then, we're expecting when this team meets that you ask for student desks or you ask for something that's similar to it, not don't give me something with like a built-in computer in it or something and we're not gonna pay for all of it, right? And of course, we reminded them that, this Little House on the Prairie, that building is like 40-something years old. So, we can't find those desks anymore, right? So, we got a good response.
He assured us
there.
that he would
Yeah.
work with us on that. Take it for what it's worth, right? We have to kind of take it with his word. So he assured us that, we are not gonna find like kind of quality on, I don't think, the desk that we had, right? But it's gotta be within reason, and he did say if it cost us $35 and they had a 30, that they would up to $35. So I think there was some wiggle room there on the contents that we felt a little better with, However, again, this stuff has to be purchased prior to September. We gotta get this stuff going. If not, it's out, we're done. Now, I think that there's an intent there that we can
Right.
hold on to, however. So we do anticipate, getting this stuff. That's why I probably asked the question is, we need to get the furniture buying ASAP. And we have secured a building too, if we need it. Don Baskin has gracefully offered up one of his storage warehouses to be able to store everything in there in the meantime. So we'll thank him and Skip and them for doing that and helping us on that for free. So that was very kind of them to do that.
One other thing too, we talk a lot of numbers, it's easy to get confused when you're all these numbers, ACV and depreciation and RCV and all. I asked him specifically for a document that included all the numbers we talked about in the meeting, and he assured me he would send me that document, and if he sends that, obviously we'll share that, so that you have the number to the penny.
Correct.
Of what it is.
And yeah, Mr. Gill.
No, I'm sorry.
No.
And stop me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
We bought another 30 days.
Yep.
Is that pretty much what we've done?
Pretty much.
So it's not a definitive solution yet.
That's right.
And the options that were out on the table for continuing funding, we had some conversation about a bond.
Yep.
And I don't know where we're at with that yet, and it doesn't sound well, but the other one is fund balance, school fund balance, versus, county commission fund balance. Where exactly we pull that money from. And I know those conversations have been had. Is there a way that we can project out of our fund balance what we're covering and the things that we're trying to do with our fund balance specifically to kind of, see where everybody's at on the playing field? I think that's important, because those conversations are starting to be had as to where specifically, 30 days at a time stinks. And so if we can all work together, which I think is where everybody wants to do, and get to the ultimate goal of finishing this thing up and everybody being excited about it. I think a big step for us would, Billy, if you could help us, give us some information to better educate as far as our fund balance and pains that may be had and pains that may not be had.
And we talked about that in our work session a lot. Of course, that's a moving target. We talked about that being a moving target, and Will and I are working, matter of fact, we were working yesterday, trying to project these numbers without hard numbers is difficult, and we know, we gotta continue to be able to make payroll and pay the electric bill, and not knowing where the payouts may or may not come in, that was one of the things we was worried about, but I feel, like the chairman said, with us, if they give us that money, that's gonna bankroll us on cash flow to get us through this period of time where our lowest cash flow occurs during the fiscal year, and our highest expense through the payout of teacher contracts. And if we can get over that hump, I think it'll be okay, as long as the insurance company is, efficient in their reimbursements.
We could anticipate probably being behind one payment, correct?
Right.
Possibly, that would probably be best case scenarios, that we're behind one payment.
And we can sustain that.
That would be great. And I think, and you've asked Linkus to give us a kind of an overview of what those payments are gonna potentially look like throughout the rest of the project, correct? So you can interpolate that to what our fund balance may be if we miss one, if they miss one payment.
That's the school's fund balance that we're talking about.
I would assume,
On purpose school fund.
Correct.
Yeah, that would be my assumption.
I mean, until we hear otherwise,
Correct.
I just think that's
100%.
what we need to plan for, unless we hear
Unless there's
from
more
them
negotiations.
otherwise.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Just remember, old school, that's the numbers we're arguing over. New school, there should be no discussion in the new school with the numbers that we're arguing over.
If they said that once, they said it 20
Just to be
times.
sure, all right, it's the old school numbers, and that's what we're arguing over at this point. We're trying to
Are
get,
we in agreement
We're
with
in-
them on the old school number?
No, that's
No,
what
that's our
Linkus
problem.
is working on. That's what Linkus is working on for those details.
correct.
Cause they're off on some things they have in the scope.
Our anticipation is the more detail we can get them,
Right.
we anticipate that number should go up, because we're not over, they are agreeing to the updated prices of Linkus. Taking the unit value, the unit cost, that Linkus that brought, interpolating that over into their scope of work, and that's where we're off on, is the scope of work, correct? All right? Clear? Just wanna be clear. I just-
Better news than what we.
well, what I just wanna state it is what people keep saying is, well, you've got bells and whistles, you're building this big school, blah, 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 you're doing all this stuff. That's, they don't know what they're arguing at that point. That's actually false is what they're arguing. They've not been in these discussions. They have no clue what they're talking about when it comes to that, to be honest with you.
It's a new school.
It is a new school, and we're building, we're trying to, it's actually, could be $10 million less, don't know, we still haven't even determined all the numbers, but yeah, $8 to $10 million less than what the original schools would have been built back, with modern amenities, by the way. Bells and whistles,
And code
you're not going to find VCT flooring that was 40 years ago, okay, by the way. I mean, nobody would expect us to build a brand new school and put the old finishes into these new schools, okay?
There's
That would
one
be-
company that makes it.
That would be the craziest thing that we ever did, to be honest with you. So, I mean, I think what the original school, what y'all did, I think was noble, and I think you've got a good school, and we're behind you. I mean, I'm behind you, let's do this, so, but the argument that we have with insurance is on the old school. But if you think about it, 2 seconds prior to that tornado lifting it, that's what they owe us for the replacement cost on that.
Plus code update.
Plus code updates too, that's
So
correct.
safe room,
Which is very,
ballistic glass.
which is very difficult there's difficulty there. Because when you start code updating, you start changing really the entire design of your original school
Right,
building.
yeah.
And there's some subjectivity there, and that was argued by our architect.
And that actually came out, which is a very important point, people are talking about the size of the current, or the new structure. It was even agreed upon by the other insurance company that if we built back the two buildings the way they were with the code updates, it would cause the footprint to grow because of not
Yep.
seismic or whatever, for
The foundation has to be different, I mean, all that. Not to mention it's sitting on a bunch of water.
Dr. Coleman, you, insurance, no extensions, September.
September's
end of
it.
extension.
Yep, Houston made that, he said that very clearly. He said, you have your extension through September, but he said there will be no further extensions. I mean, that's exactly how he stated it.
That's a twofold. That's for them and us.
Do we not have is there any legal recourse to that? How does that who offers that up? Is that just that they're goodwill? Is that in the contract? How does that work? I mean,
According to what according to how he explained it, that is left up to the reinsurers. So when they go back to the reinsurers, all the reinsurers buy all this stuff up, right? That extension is granted through those reinsurers. Those reinsurers make that decision, like, well, yeah, we'll agree to that, or no, we won't. So, honestly, generally, it's only a 3-month extension, but I think they accidentally gave us the wrong form, so we used a 6-month one, or we may not have gotten that one. But, we know we have 6 months.
And the turnaround with Linkus on the scope stuff that they're working on?
They're working on it right now. Yes, sir.
Yeah, ASAP.
Yes, sir. And I'm telling you, I know Hunter will chime in. I can't say enough good stuff about Linkus and A2H, but, I mean, I'm telling you, Linkus is killing it. I mean, they're just, man, they walked in that room and, I mean, you feel like you're sitting by, Socrates over here when they start, talking about this stuff. They're good. They've done this a lot. They're very good. Chooch did a good job representing us too.
100%. Any other discussion on that? New deals? Good. Any other updates or any other business here?
Got one quick thing,
Correct.
I'll pass this out real quick, I'm not gonna add, we were supposed to have a speaker in here tonight, conflict of interest, unable to show up. Mr. Fields and Dr. Bird, I got y'all's copies here. I'm not gonna speak on her, but she submitted a letter she wanted me to read. I'm not gonna elaborate again. I'm just gonna speak her words, concerning some questions she has to, the schools. Good evening, thank you for having me. Before I address serious concerns that I brought here tonight, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the positives we experienced in our first year at the school system. The teachers my child has had this year have been phenomenal. I truly think they could not have been any better. These educators are deeply invested in our children, and for that I'm forever grateful. Unfortunately, our experience with administration and the athletic department has been profoundly a disappointment. My child has endured repeated bullying, harassment, and even physical assault this year, and each time the administration has failed to properly address these incidents. Rather than ensuring a safe and supportive learning environment, their response has left us with the ideas that reporting issues to the school is not safe for our children, adults are not held accountable for their actions, student safety is not a priority. We have had 4 major incidents that illustrate the failures of the school's handling of these situations. 1, my child was physically assaulted. He was held against his will and hit with a belt multiple times in the locker room. When reported, and after the admission by the child, the administration dismissed the boys as boys will be boys. Meanwhile, the school resource officer, who was not even informed of the assault until I reported the next day, determined that there was enough evidence to escalate the case to the district attorney's office. The stark discrepancy between the school's handling and legal response raises serious concerns. My child was subjected to derogatory comments by another student. When we reported this to the coach, he pulled the student aside and informed the harasser that I had made the complaint against him. Instead of protecting my child, the coach allowed retaliation and put the target on my child's back. My child was repeatedly harassed on the bus during a sporting event by having objects thrown at him. Despite reporting these incidents, the administration has failed to intervene and take meaningful action. A coach was allowed to verbally and physically intimidate players, cursing them and throwing objects in the locker room. Even after his behavior was reported, he was allowed to continue coaching for the remainder of the season. After this, I no longer felt comfortable having my child attend the last week of practice or the final game, yet at no point did we formally quit the team. Despite this, he was told he was not invited to the end of season banquet, excluded because we chose to prioritize his safety over an unsafe environment. I have documented every incident and the school's response in an extensive timeline. If you would like to have that sent to you through email, I can do that. That's what I've presented to everybody here. These are not minor issues. These are serious violations of policies outlined in the Tipton County Student Handbook, policies that should exist to protect students, but in reality are not being enforced. I am not the only parent who has faced challenges. I have spoken to at least 20 other families who have experienced similar issues with school administration, only to be met with dismissive responses and inconsistencies. This is far too much subjectivity in how the district handles these incidents. There should be clear, consistent enforcement of policies without bias or personal discretion. I have submitted the proposal to improve the Tipton County Incident Report form, which I have sent to Superintendent and Mr. Gray. If you would like to review it, I urge you to do so tonight. The current form is ineffective, it is disorganized, vague, and lacks accountability. It allows administrators to pick up and choose how to handle incidents rather than follow a structured process. My proposal restructures the form into a clear step-by-step flow chart that aligns with the Tipton County Student Handbook. This would ensure that every incident is handled with consistency, transparency, and in accordance with established policies. Something has to change. This form is an important first step, but it is only the beginning. I would like to move forward together to reach a solution at the local level, because I also recognize that sometimes in a tight-knit community, we need an outside perspective to step in, evaluate what is happening, provide accountability. Coming here tonight is my last effort to seek meaningful change before requesting intervention from the Department of Education in Nashville. I urge this board to take real meaningful action to make our schools safer for all children, and I would love to hear what steps you believe are necessary to accomplish that. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Any comments?
Well, I'll just say, I appreciate her. I've already talked to her, and I appreciate, all the input that she gave us, and she's been great. She and I talk. If there's a situation that's messed up, we need to fix it. So we're gonna work on that. I don't necessarily agree with all the facts there. However, that's part of it, right? You gotta check that out, make sure all that stuff's being done, and we wanna make sure that we're following what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be taking care of kids and keeping them safe. So if we're not doing that, then we need to fix it. So, but she's been great to speak with. She has, and I kind of hate she wasn't here tonight, because she really has been very engaging and easy to talk to. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. And I know that Mr. Fields has already, we've already talked about that. I know you've talked to him about it. So we're looking into all that. So
Was there
I appreciate that.
did she bring policies together that we don't have to go over tonight, but something we can discuss in our policy committee. Is there can you allude to that? Do you have that?
She, in the, incident form, she's, quoted 6.304.1.
That's the one, can we get that shared with the
And that's a procedure, isn't it?
That's a procedure.
That's not a policy.
Okay.
Can you
She's
share
got
that with?
The handbook.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's going off the handbook.
right, but it will tie to a policy, so we can.
Can you share that
We
with
can look
Dr.
at it.
Bird? We want to do that right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got y'all's copies right here.
Thank you.
I gave him mine.
Oh, you want yours?
Yes,
You got,
I gave him mine. My bad.
There you go.
Dr. Bird, so can you do your due diligence on that and then bring that back to the board on what we what we find? So we're looking into that. Is that good?
That's good. That's fine, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
If I may, Dr. Combs, when it exceeds the school at level, it comes to you.
Yes.
And then that process, you work with Mr. Fields investigating. I think, I've seen you do some investigating before, so I know about that.
Well, sometimes there's even like, he's generally a step before me. So like he could come and I'll say, you know, hey, James, will you look into this? And then he does that sometimes with Mr. McLean. Sometimes if it's like high school or middle school, Dr. Norton was here just a minute ago. I thought I saw him. He will work with Dr. Norton, or if it's elementary, he'll work with Miss Brooke Shipley some. So, and then it will come to me after that.
And then you, just to clarify, and again, I know your process, but you provide resolution of some sort, or a conclusion to the complaint at the end of your investigation, is that right?
Yes, sir, that's correct. The resolution is not always agreed, but we provide one. It only usually gets to my desk if it's an appeal by a parent to DHS, to DHA, and then we investigate.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Board, I got just a couple of things I have to clean up here. Let me read this. To our Tipton County School Board members, we're still talking about the tastiness of the meal you all provided us following out our tragedy. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your thoughtfulness. The food was absolutely incredible and the time together even more special. Our staff truly appreciated the kindness. On a more personal note, I was grateful for all the texts and kind words in the hours and days following Mr. Day's death. The texts and the kind words and the gestures helped sustain us as we walked through that challenging time. Thank you for all each of you do for our students, our schools, and for us. With care, Courtney Fee, Mumford High School. Yeah, so thank you, Dr. Fee. This, if you notice, to those watching and those here, we're all in solidarity wearing purple. No, that is for the purple up. Sorry, Mike. Just he blends in well. He tried. This is not in support of CHS, though I wish it was.
It will be.
It will be. No, but more serious note, this is in celebration of, this is called Purple Up, or celebrating the military month. Purple is the color of, I call it royalty, but it encompasses all of the divisions of military. So it's that
military families.
military family, and this is for military students. It's in support of those who have students, the military children. Am I correct on that?
That's right.
Yeah,
Military
so,
families,
yep.
military, yep.
So this is the month of military child. It's on April 15th. We're celebrating a little earlier due to our board meeting, but that shows that we're in solidarity. We want to just show that we're solidarity to those military children that are within our schools and in our community. So thank you. Thank you. Any of y'all serve in the military? Anybody? Thank you for your service, Matt. We appreciate you and your children as well. Thank you for that. One last thing. I do want to say this. I want to say we give Dr. Bird a lot of credit on the textbook adoption and the teachers as well. However, there were two people who were also instrumental in that, and that was Ms. Brooke Shipley and Dr. Brian Norton as well. And they did a fantastic job of putting all that together. Can you imagine having to wrangle all these teachers in, get them in here, look at all the books and stuff like that? I remember walking in here and there were just sticky notes everywhere. And so I think they did a fantastic job, and just want to kind of give them applause for just putting that together. That's all I have, board. Do we have any other thing? Yes, sir.
I got one thing, it's just something I read today in an article, and I keep hearing a lot of them in the news. I don't know if y'all heard, daylight savings time. You know, they're talking about possibly doing away with it. Well, I was thinking, well, maybe they'd go to standard time. What I read today is there's a push for it to stay daylight savings time. So my question, what's like the earliest route we have in the morning for like somebody getting on the bus?
Some of the children we start picking up around 6.
Yeah, see, that's,
Yeah.
my concern is if this push, which it was in Congress going through, and if the push is to stay daylight standards,
Yep.
sprung forward, that's gonna put us getting kids on the bus way early in the morning in the dark.
Right.
And, I hope it'll go that way. I see that being a big problem.
Yeah.
As I kept, as I've heard it, it continuously comes up. I was thinking it was standard time they wanted to stay to.
That's actually a good point.
But it's not.
Yeah.
The argument today was to stay sprung forward, and that would create a huge problem for transportation, early morning hours, staying at a bus stop in the dark, so I was kinda concerned.
Is that in the winter? Would that be in the?
That would be in the wintertime, instead of
Winter,
falling back.
right, 'cause we lose
Yeah,
the
instead
amount of days,
falling-
so-
Falling back, we would stay sprung forward, and it would be a whole hour.
Is that a federal thing that they're
That's a
looking at, or
federal
is it
thing.
state?
They were talking, and it was both Democrat and Republican support. It passed.
It passed
House.
committee. We may have to go to 200 days a year.
I know when they interviewed the president, and he said, his words were 50-50 issue for the exact point you brought
I
up.
think the people that are in favor of not changing the clock, I don't think there's an agreement on which way though. So that's where, and I don't see how this, from the safety side, let kids go on the bus at 6 o'clock in the morning, an hour and a half before dark.
That may
before
be
daylight.
something that we need to reach out to our representatives in DC and say, hey, look, I mean, have we thought about that? And just see if we can help
On the
push in
voter
that
on their
direction.
side, it was a golf course, people saying how much extra revenue they get from people getting to play later in the day. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
So,
I'm like,
do we need to reach out to Cohen then?
I say Cohen and Blackburn.
And Blackburn?
Cohen and Blackburn.
Yeah.
Custoff.
Yeah, Kustoff,
Cohen.
yeah. All right, well, can we look into that,
I'll-
put together maybe a
I'll put an
or
email
something?
together tomorrow.
Yeah, good. Yes, sir,
To
Mr.
all
Jenkins?
three of them.
I may be mistaken, did I read something today about, on one of the emails I get about ESSER?
Yeah,
Yes.
we've spent all ours.
We done?
We're done.
Okay, I was gonna scroll through it and talk with someone.
Well, and here's what continually shocks us, is that districts haven't spent it. The district, I mean, what is like 90-something?
95 million.
94 million of ESSER dollars that districts haven't spent yet, and I'm like, I mean, we actually asked for their money. We said, look, if you're not gonna spend it, we've got more HVAC systems and roofs to fix and buses to buy, right, Will? We'll take some of that.
There's probably some heads rolling at some board
Oh, I'm
things.
saying,
That's
but yeah,
the
but
case.
we have spent all of the ESSER dollars that were allotted to us, that's been
Of
expended,
course, I didn't read the whole one.
right?
Dang.
Yeah,
Like a 15-year-old, when you give them $100, they gotta spend $100. That's what we are right
That's
here.
right.
We gotta go,
We're not
man.
wasting that.
That's right.
No.
There is
If not,
nothing left.
Linda McMahon, I don't know if you read her, but she was coming down, she was sending Hulk Hogan to come to each school board and getting that money, by the way.
Well,
That's a joke, sorry, terrible. That fell, y'all, come on now. I mean, all right, and do we have any other discussion tonight? I appreciate y'all, we have a motion to adjourn. I got a motion by Mr. Edwards, got a second by Mr. Lavelle. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.